Live from the Stream Center in Tampa, Florida, the home of News Channel 8, your official Bucs station. This is Bucs Bonus on WFLA Now, powered by 1-800-ASK-GARY.
The curse of the creamsicle. Should the Bucs get rid of the orange and white for good? And how to contain Falcon star rookie running back Bijan Robinson? And can you count on this Bucs team to redeem themselves after a terrible loss to the Lions? All of that and more right here, right now. I am your host, Aileen Hnatiuk, along my teammates in your Bucs Insiders, Dan Lucas, Karen Loftus. Hello.
Hello. What was that one? Is that a new one?
I was just testing it out.
Last week when I was introduced, it was crickets.
This one?
So, that's what I'm used to. There you go.
Karen's. I like this one. Oh, wait, no, that's the wrong one.
You're giving me a lot of credit for having jokes.
Karen will be here all week. She'll be here all week.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Thank you for joining us, guys. Okay, let's just get this out of the way. I really hate to admit this, but should they ditch the creamsicles?
No. They played terrible in them last week.
I'm a superstitious person, so I'm kind of on the 50-50.
Sounds like you're not.
I think you need to plan. I think they should plan the week better.
Plan the week better and not have a bye week before?
Or you look at your schedule and you see the teams that are coming to your place, and you look at the Lions coming in here. This is no longer a homecoming opponent.
Do it against the Falcons?
You know what? Do it against the Falcons rather than the Lions.
I was so sad after Sunday because, I just felt like that was such a culture moment for Tampa, and the crowd was involved. Everybody was in it. It was a great game. They gave out hats and all the things, and the team was in it, and everybody was dripped out looking fly, and it was just like,
having grown up with it, you never thought of it as, when you go to a Bucs game or you turn on a Bucs game when you were a kid, oh, look at the creamsicle. It's so cool. It was just what they were. And they were just not good. And they had a few years here and there, like 79 to go to the NFC title game. Then it was futility after that. The sequence of events in the history of this franchise, the Glazers come in, they purchased the team. In 97, they ditched the creamsicles. They basically buried them, said never again. And they brought out the new uniforms and instant success. So that's
like instant success, and then
they were a playoff team. They were a Super Bowl contender. And then when they won that Super Bowl, you got a sense of nostalgia, and you're like, oh, I kind of missed the creamsicles a little bit. So they started this Ring of Honor, and the first member of the Ring of Honor was Leroy Selman, who was the very first Buccaneer ever. And, it's first All-Pro, it's first Hall of Famer, and he was all creamsicle, obviously, from the 70s into the 80s. And so it made sense. You know what? We're going to put him in the Ring of Honor. Let's bring out the orange. How cool would that be? And that was a fun day, a great day. And I think they kind of wanted that to be the theme for at least when the older guys got into the Ring of Honor. Just bring it back for that day and let everybody enjoy it. And some people who've never seen it, it is kind of cool when you go in and see the whole stadium like that and the white helmets and that.
It went all out for that game.
But the creamsicles were associated with bad football back in the day, to be quite honest. I just think it's a neat toss back to history for a day. Yeah. I just want them to win in the creamsicle. Yeah.
Don't we all?
I'll get off my pedestal.
Your tangent.
Yes.
You know who also wants this team to win? Buckified Bert, guys. And I actually have a surprise for you.
He was down and out Monday,
by
the way. He was down and out Monday.
And
yes.
Get this. Casey Sloan, okay, she's got a new segment on Bucs Bonus called Stat Chat. And it's right after Buckified. So watch this. Check this out.
Hello, Aileen. So happy to be a part of Bucs Bonus once again. At the same time, I need to give you my perspective about what's happened. Well, basically, we missed a couple of passes, and that would have changed the outcome of the game. But now we're going to move on because that wasn't a division game. And like I told you earlier, we're going to be winning the division. The division is how you get to the Super Bowl. That's the way we did it in the past. We'll be making it back to the Super Bowl, but we're going to take care of the division now. We played Atlanta Falcons come this Sunday, and I promise you, that's a division game that we will win. Now, for the stat of the week, I'm going to pass it off to Casey Sloan. All right? This is Buckified Bert, and I'm out.
Hi guys, I have my baby microphone. I'm ready to talk about some Bucs football with you guys for the very first time ever. So let's talk about it. Are the Bucs creamsicle jerseys cursed, or is it just a coincidence? Because since 2009, the Bucs have only gone 1-4 donning the iconic retro jerseys. And while Todd Bowles said the Bucs were a little sluggish to start on Sunday, one player wasn't. And ironically enough, he's also the only Buc on the current roster to ever wear the creamsicle jersey. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, your KC Stat Chat Player of the Week is the one and only number 54, Lavonte David. He was everywhere on the field against the Lions Sunday, so let's talk about it. David finished with a team-high 12 tackles, 2 of which for a loss, a sack, 1 quarterback hit, and 1 pass defended, making him the first player in the NFL to reach that stat line or better since Arizona's Budda Baker in Week 16 of the 2021 season against the Indianapolis Colts. His defended pass also increased his career total to 60 defended passes, good for the second most among active linebackers. Now, while the linebackers showed out on Sunday, so did the Bucs defense. Okay, they held Detroit to just 40 rushing yards, which is their fewest in a game since Week 6 of the 2021 season against the Cincinnati Bengals, when they just logged only 36 rushing yards. So that's all I have for this week's Casey's Stat Chat, and I'll see you guys next week.
She is just the absolute best. She also
Stat
has
chat.
this stat chat.
I did like the.
Thank you, Casey.
Yes.
I love the Lavonte David line
Yes.
because he did have a heck of a game.
He did. And
He leads the team in tackles.
There you
Yeah,
go.
he was. That was the eye test too. You're like, who's getting it done out here? 54. He was everywhere.
He was everywhere.
Well, Casey also has this article, Are the Bucs Creamsicle Jerseys Cursed? You can check that out on WFLA.com. So, yeah, the Bucs held them. The Bucs defense held them in that game. The offense played like crap. A drop pass, Mike Evans, 2 overthrown balls by Baker to Trey Palmer. Flush it, and move on.
The overthrows. I'm curious to see how this week goes, because that seemed to be when Todd Bowles said sluggish. That's the chemistry. When everything's off, I'm not sure it's fixable. People think it's that fixable in the moment. And that's in any sport. When batters have time off, their timing is off. They're seeing the ball is off. Pitchers are off. So I think that's what we ran into. And it happened against a team that is, let's say it, among the group of the small group of elite right now, until somebody knocks the Lions down. They're running away with that NFC North.
Yeah, they're hot right now, and I mean, at least with the Bucs, both of their losses are to the leaders in their divisions, right? With the Eagles and the Lions. So I mean, they're losing to good teams.
It's definitely a gauge of who's at the top,
right,
and where the Bucs fit in the overall picture of the NFC. I think the Bucs are a challenger for the playoffs, and I think they can make some noise in the playoffs. But to get to the Super Bowl, we've seen a couple of samples now that they might have to go on the road to those places, perhaps play those teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, you talk about those mistakes and stuff. Like Baker was saying today, it's like those are fixable things.
Yes.
And so he's like, nobody's panicking. Like, we'll learn from all this stuff. Everybody knows what they have to do individually to get better, make those plays. And Coach Bowles even said, he goes, those 1 or 2 plays don't make the difference in the game. It's the culmination of them. It's the timing of them and when they happen. And it's like the rhythm, messes up the rhythm and everything. But knowing that they are fixable things, I asked Chris Godwin today, I said, does it help that you have veterans like you and Mike Evans on the team, that if you're talking about it being an execution, you guys have been in those situations where okay, what it feels like to be like, okay, I cannot drop this. I have to make this catch or whatever that is. And he said, yes, that's something that we can set the example for.
Yeah, and what stands out to me too, when we're looking at this graphic, and if you're listening to us, just keep in tune here, is no touchdowns. Like that's zero tutty, zero TD.
That's
I
what
hate
Baker
looking
said
at
too.
that.
Yeah. He's like, because everybody's asking about the run game, obviously.
Right.
But he's like, the run game, but he's like, we also just need to execute in the red zone and get touchdowns, like understanding that that's a very important part of this.
Mike Evans took a bit of a beating on Sunday from the fan base on the drops.
Yeah.
And there were points taken away because of it. So there's no one when it comes to Mike Evans, there's no one harder on Mike Evans than Mike Evans. I can assure you.
And this this isn't their identity either. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they had a bad game, they didn't execute, and we've talked the last few weeks about how they are responding to each win, to the last loss, and how you've said, okay, Baker's been praised. How is he going to do when he's not praised? And this game specifically is their worst game of the season, and they have yet to do that. Play just an awful game. And with how they responded in that locker room and talking to the guys after, they all were on the same page. And that is the number one thing you want to see from a team after a bad loss like that. Everybody's angry. Everybody's pissed. Everybody's like, this is not who we are. This is not our, and because they could roll over, they could be, okay, like eye roll, whatever, blah, blah. No, they were all motivated by that loss. So I think they come back just coming correct on Sunday against the Falcons.
Well, even in that game, it didn't get 2 scores until later. The Bucs were in it
into the third quarter
for the majority of the game, and there's a line in the NFL between success and failure, and that line for me on one play was the interception, the deflected pass that when you saw from the certain angles where Mike Evans was, who was the target on that play. So the play call was perfect. The execution of the play up until the throw was perfect. All it had to do was get over the hand of the defender, and that was a Bucs touchdown.
Yeah.
No one was near Evans. Instead, beautiful play by the defender, and I'm drawing a blank on the name who deflected it, but it's a Lions interception. So it's 7 points off the board for you. The defense came in and stood tall, held the Lions to a field goal. So it was a 10-point swing. Could have been a 14-point swing based on a play that was beautiful from the Bucs' perspective. But like we said, something was off, and that was one of the things. Just something's off, and that happens.
And that's why, like, there have been a couple questions like, okay, Canal is first-time play call, or is it the play calling? And Baker said, no, it's not the play calling, it's us. Execution. He pointed that one out. He goes, that's a touchdown. Like, and he pointed out several other ones. He's like, those are good play calls. But if we are not executing, then people are like, that's awful. It's,
Yeah.
But again, it's like, coaches have to coach better. The players have to play better. Just take Todd Bowles' line.
Yeah.
But it's true. I mean, the coaches can only do so much.
Right.
And then the players have to carry it out.
Right.
And everybody do their job.
And it's so hard too, I feel like, when you get in a rut and one thing leads to another in a negative way, like,
oh yeah,
how do you change
quickly.
that? You need that one play that's a game changer, and then you build off of that momentum. So let's say one positive thing about that game, because we're positive pennies around here. Before we get into the preview against the Falcons, I will say Kalijah Kancey. Let's talk about that. Was his first outstanding.
Yes.
And I mean, he played great. And he also mentioned this is his preseason, right? Like, this is his training because he didn't have one. So, and he's doing pretty well during his preseason. Yeah.
Well, in sitting down with Todd Bowles on Monday, I said, Coach, you said you couldn't wait till Kalijah came back because it was going to free up Vita Vea. He's going to stop getting double teamed so much. And he laughed this past Monday when I asked how did Kalijah do, and he goes, well, he says, it was Kalijah, or Kalijah's now going to get the double teams, and so I think the two are going to go hand in hand, and that was beautiful. There were moments where in the line, and Logan Hall had a role in this as well, where the Lions were trying to run. There was no hole. He tries to cut it outside, and you see these two just big masses come in there and make the play. One's Vita Vea, the other's Kalijah Kancey. They each had their big moments in that game, and now we're getting a chance to see this come to fruition. Why Kalijah Kancey was drafted. I think the Bucs' run defense, which is already elite, is going to get even better with Kancey now getting the playing time and the reps.
Yeah.
What's your positive?
Positive.
Positive vibes.
Good vibes.
I was pointing out that the offensive line has been playing
well.
well.
Tremendous.
Yes, excellent.
Can we say Luke Gedeke?
So
Great job.
He was a topic that today.
Yes.
Somebody
Let's
was
hear
like,
it.
"Who's the nastiest player like on the
Hey.
O-line?" And Tristan like almost like cut off the question. He was like, "Luke."
Wow.
Like
Luke
he's like a
Gedeke.
fiery player, almost
was-
like taking the Ryan Jensen role.
He wasn't
Yeah.
just in the spotlight this weekend. He was in the crosshairs. And everybody was watching number 97 on the other side. And by the
Aiden
way,
Hutchinson was contained.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't. I saw he had stats, but I didn't. I don't remember hearing his name
Yeah.
in the broadcast. Not
Yeah.
not what he's been doing recently. I mean, listen.
Something to be said right
Well,
there.
the Lions provided a lot of pressure. They were very physical, and they hit Baker quite a bit. But it wasn't 97.
No.
So good job.
So that was the O-line. They've only given up
Correct.
5 quarterback sacks, 15 quarterback hits.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Granted, that's through 5 games, so it's the fewest in the league. But
Right.
they've played 5 games, and I asked Coach Bowles about that today, and he said, yes, Baker does have something to do with that because he's a mobile quarterback.
True.
But obviously didn't take anything away from the way the Lions playing, but mentioned Luke by name. It was
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
he's been playing.
Yeah, and that was one of the questions that was going into the season was, oh, what is this O-line with all the moving parts? And they're
But
doing well.
aren't you happy that, Luke Gedeke was just really criticized last year as a rookie, and they plugged him in at right guard, which is not his
Not
natural
his
position.
No.
The right tackle in college. He steps out to right tackle, and what did a lot of fans say in the offseason when that happened? Oh, boy, here we go. This is going to be a disaster.
Yep.
And I said, no, it's not. No, it's not. The 2 tackles, Wirfs and Gedeke, you're in good shape with that and what has happened so far.
And so I'm reading my notes from what Bowles said about, because somebody asked a follow-up question about Luke, and Bowles said he's back where he's comfortable. His confidence has skyrocketed. We like where he's at.
Good.
And somebody's like, did he play with the nastiness against the Detroit? And he said he always plays with nastiness.
Oh,
Some
we
people
love
are just
it.
nasty.
Yeah.
Wait. No, wrong one. That's another one. I quit. I'm done.
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's talk about this matchup. But also, let's just talk about the run game that needs to get going for the Bucs. And oh my goodness, my thoughts exactly, Dan. Like, what is going on? And then the question marks with Sean Tucker, right? Didn't Coach Bowles say Sean Tucker hasn't been playing well? Keyshawn's been playing better.
Yeah, they've been
but
they kind of doled out the reps a little bit, and I think they're doing that because they cannot get this solved. I don't think it's and if you take anyone in the group, I don't, there isn't, to me personally, and Rashad White's your number 1. You got to keep going to it, but I don't know who the number 1 is right now. That's the problem, and it's just alarming. And what the thing that's coming out of the no run is it's starting to have an effect on the pass in that they can't use play action because no one's respecting it. That was Todd. That's what Todd Bowles said to me the other day. So until they get this turned around somehow, it's just the teams are just going to keep stacking it up and trying to make Baker throw deep. That's the way it's going to have to be. There are things you can do to help your run game. Screens, they say it all the time. Send your running backs out to the side if there's time to get them out. There are ways to kind of help your run. Some pass plays, they call them the extension of run plays, even though they're not running plays, and that frees things up. But nothing is working.
The Bucs are 29th in the league in rush offense, 78.8 yards per game.
Not good.
So,
oh boy.
Although they did outrush the Lions the other day. 46-40.
but Goff was also named like the NFC Player of the Week for his passing yards.
I wasn't worried about that.
But
I was worried about
digress.
the mighty run game as we outrushed the Lions.
Look, take what you can.
Exactly.
Selective stats.
Right, selective stats. What concerns you guys most about the Falcons? Like, what do we need to be paying attention to?
Bijan Robinson.
They're a two-headed monster.
There you
running
go.
back. Tyler
Calais
Algier.
Campbell.
Right there.
Tyler Algier, Bijan Robinson. Amazing combo.
Yeah.
Bijan's 10th in the league in rushing as a rookie. And I remember on draft night, people, as they started to go down the first round a little bit, this guy became the it. And I remember Bucs fans thinking, is he going to get to us? I said, probably
I remember
not.
that. I remember talking, like doing his draft profile.
Yeah, I thought, wow, this could be a steal. Yeah. But, yeah, they're getting it done with the run game. Desmond Ritter's pretty good. He's a good leader. Their problem is finishing, and they're not scoring as much. They're giving up quite a bit of points. It's weird when you look at the numbers in terms of yards allowed, pass rushing. That the Falcons' defense is pretty good.
Yeah, their defense is not bad.
You know what I noticed?
But they give up points.
Random fact, and take whatever you want from this. So the Falcons have already played the Lions too.
Right.
Guess what the
Right.
final score was of that game?
They scored 6 points, and they weren't from touchdowns.
20-6.
Yeah.
Same
Very
as the
interesting.
Bucs.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah, I
interesting.
noticed that too. Yeah.
But again, they're a good enough team to hold the Lions to 20
Agreed.
points when they're averaging closer to 30.
Right.
Yeah, I
So-
don't think the Falcons should be don't underestimate them for
Yeah.
sure. Especially like you guys were saying with Bijan Robinson, he has lived up to all the hype. All eyes on him. I mean, how do you go about covering that? Double cover, like how do you go about covering him?
Well,
Do you have
first
two
of all,
guys on it? You know what I mean?
I think the Bucs' run defense is up to the task.
Yeah,
It's,
I
Yeah.
think they're fine in that regard.
it's now your Drake Londons and then those
Yep.
guys. Are they going to get theirs? I mean, we're seeing teams come in, and their star receiver is their star receiver, and they're getting their yards against the Bucs defense. So contain those guys early, make them kind of dependent on abandoning what they want to do. The old defensive cliches, but Bijan will hurt you.
Yeah.
in the
He's-
pass
he's a
game
breaker.
too.
Yeah.
Right.
He's third in the NFL in scrimmage yards of running backs.
Bijan is.
Yeah, Bijan.
Oh, wow.
590 scrimmage
Wow.
yards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a good player. He's really good.
Yeah.
And he just makes those plays. There was the one where it was like the ball behind his back.
Oh my goodness! It was the basketball crossover.
Basketball
but, I was
moves.
like, what sport are we watching
Hybrid,
right now?
yeah.
Yeah, and like you guys said, the defense too is not to be overlooked.
And to this day, I think the Falcons just do not utilize Kyle Pitts correctly.
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts is a
He's phenomenal.
Yeah.
heck of a player.
Yeah. I remember him in
he
Florida.
he does damage when he can. I just don't think he's used properly.
Yeah.
I feel bad for him. He's a great
Well,
player.
Yeah.
Great player.
Well, Falcons defense, as y'all mentioned, a fun stat here for you. Falcons opponents are 23 of 74 on third downs, which is 31.3%. And obviously, the Bucs did not do well on third downs last week.
All it takes is one bad day to blow up that percentage.
Yeah,
That's,
they need to get that. Bucs need to get that right this week.
Yeah, well,
For
the
sure.
Bucs, if defensively in the run, I think the Bucs have dropped to 7th or something. They they're not in the top 2 as they were, and it was because of that Eagles game. It's going
Right.
to take them weeks to climb back up, and they will. But that's what the Eagles did to them.
Bucs rush defense, 7th in the league.
7th in the league, so that's a drop off.
83.8.
Which, by the way, is still pretty good.
Still pretty good. And that's 7th.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not bad, not great, but not
Well,
as
if they
good as they
contain
were.
if they
but-
contain Robinson and Algier on Sunday, then that's a big day for the defense.
Yeah, I
Big
think
day.
so too. Let's check out our injury report. Baker's fine. Baker's fine. He was not on the injury report, but we did have a few other guys.
Yep. Nelson, Anthony Nelson, and Vita Vea were the only guys. Anthony Nelson with that concussion, he was full. Vita with a foot now.
A foot, not a pec.
New.
foot.
Yeah. Limited.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's
Because it was a
good.
pec before. Yeah.
That's
well,
good
Vita,
after
Vita
last-
lives on the injury report. he's a beast,
Yeah,
and he's also a tough guy.
yeah. There you go.
I mean, the pectoral thing was debilitating for some people, and the guy was going out there and playing a full game with it. It's
Yeah.
impressive.
At a high level, too.
Yes, he wasn't just a body.
He wasn't just there.
He wasn't
He
a
was-
liability. He was.
He was making stuff happen.
He was making it happen for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I think. Look, I jinxed myself last week because I honestly thought the Bucs were gonna win against the Lions. I really did, but I also thought the Bucs were gonna play to their level. But I do think, especially with that injury report and the motivation from the Lions loss and the change of game plan that I'm sure Canales is working on with their run game and whatnot, I think they'll win on Sunday against the Falcons. What do you guys?
Well, I think they're definitely going to bounce back.
Have to.
With a wake-up call, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to beat the Lions because I thought they could match them point for point. And I thought the two defenses were either going to be great or allow all these points. And neither team scored a ton of points. So the defenses ruled the day, but a couple of bad plays. The second touchdown, well, first of all, a block on the first touchdown that the Bucs allowed. as Todd Bowles put it, it should never have even come to that block on Carlton Davis. Play should have been stopped on the left side of the field or the middle where it wouldn't start to move over. And then Ryan Neal, having the receiver looks over one shoulder, then looks over another shoulder. That's your cue to turn around yourself and see an underthrown ball. And those are your 2 touchdowns. So a decent day, 1 play here, 1 play there, and that was, 2 touchdowns for the Lions, 1 not for the Bucs because of one thing on an execution standpoint. And that will be cleaner this week for the Bucs.
Yeah. Well, look at this. Look at this graphic. Bucs are still at the top of the division. So there's your positive there. Falcons obviously 3-3, Saints 3-3, Panthers, man, 0-6. Who's going to be their first win of the season? Or do
I don't know,
think they're
but
going to go winless?
They were
it has to be like a record.
They were up
Who do they play
14-0
this
on the
week?
Dolphins the other day before losing. 42-21.
How crazy
they lost.
was that? How crazy was that?
Exactly. The Miami Dolphins, by the way, are there. We could do a show on them. They are right now what the Rams used to be, the greatest show on turf. Their offense is so fun. And they made the Panthers look so silly once they got things going the other day. The Dolphins are miles ahead of everyone right now in a lot of categories offensively, but the whole NFC South lost on Sunday. So
they did.
The Bucs got their Lions game out of the way. You could say, it was a chance to gain a two game advantage in the division, but they didn't lose a game in the division. So that's big.
Yeah, I think things only go up from here to their schedule. I don't want to use the word softens.
I don't know. I was watching the Houston Texans keep getting better. I'm getting a little more nervous about that game down the road here in a few weeks.
Okay, well, we'll be here talking about it every single week, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, 4 o'clock on our broadcast on Channel 8. If not, you can listen to us post-stream on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all the things. We are here. We are talking Bucs every single week. And hopefully they pull out a win on Sunday against the Falcons. Nothing, guys. It's saying bye.
I thought that was the closing line. I thought we were done.
I was like kind of waiting for you.
Oh, wait.
Just whisper goodbye. Okay, see you guys next week.
See you.